The province taking aim at the gender pay gap, Ontario becoming the first in Canada to introduce pay transparency legislation. And the Premier joins me right now with more. Welcome back, Premier.
Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about this. First thing I want to do, let's say what it is. And I think we have a board that explains this. So we're talking about publicly advertised job postings. I want a clarification on publicly advertised job postings.
Well, when someone's looking for a job and they see an ad, whether it's online or in the public realm anywhere, there's going to have to anywhere. Yeah, it's going to have to be there's going to have to be a pay range as part of that ad, so that it's clear exactly what the salary range is.
Employers cannot ask job candidate about past compensation, what you got paid before.
Precisely.
Prohibit reprisals against employees who discuss or disclose pay. That's interesting, because there's some contracts that say you're not allowed to tell anybody about this.
Right, which is a way of withholding information. And somebody asked me yesterday, well, won't that cause resentment and conflict in the workplace if people know what each other are paid? I think the fact is that not knowing, I think there's resentment and suspicion when people don't know what each other are paid.
Framework to require larger employers to track and report compensation. So you're looking to people who are the larger companies, and they have the resources to be able to track this and report back.
Right, and we see the patterns. And what's happened in other jurisdictions is that you can see that that pay equity starts to be clearer when those trends are seen, when it's public information.
Why has this not been in place before? To me, this is surprising that this was not already something that we should, because I think it even reaches beyond what sex you are. It reaches into perhaps what race you are, or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is surprising, and I think it will be surprising to a lot of people that we have to have legislation to make this happen. But the fact is that these are practices that have allowed for the kind of discrimination that we're talking about. So we want to shine a light on this and make sure that it's clear what people are paid. And I think that this is a really important step towards closing that gender equity, that gap.
This is maybe a first in Canada, but it's not a first in the world.
Right.
We're following
the UK, Australia, there are other jurisdictions, and we look to those jurisdictions. And one of the concerns is, well, why just big companies? Well, that's what we've seen in other jurisdictions. You start with the big companies, start with government, quite frankly, and then with bigger companies who, as you say, have the resources to do this kind of tracking and reporting. And then I believe what will happen, Kevin, is that we'll see those behaviors translate into smaller companies, because you're talking about a culture shift here.
Now, they can talk about this or a number of items, but I think it's probably going to be a lot about this. You're going to be at the Design Exchange tonight with a town hall.
We're having a town hall at the Design Exchange. The doors open at 5:30. The town hall starts at 6:30, and you can ask any questions. But we're going to be talking about these gender equity issues.
I want to quickly switch gears, because we have you here today, and we do not have you here tomorrow. By the way, the Prime Minister is going to be here tomorrow.
All right.
Because it is International Women's Day, and he declares himself a feminist. So I want
Me too.
I want to talk to you about that, and I want you to talk to young ladies out there, no matter what their age, about, well, let's talk about politics. I mean, first, I would highly recommend nobody get into politics. I would highly recommend it. It can be just a dogfight in there all the time. But you know what? We need leaders of tomorrow. And politics sometimes isn't something, again, that young ladies in school think of.
Right. But here's a perfect example, Kevin. If we didn't have a critical mass of women in our legislature, we've got 45% women in our cabinet, a female premier, I think we would have maybe not been tackling some of these issues. The reality is we need everybody at the table if all of our societal issues are going to be dealt with. And so I'm really proud of the work that we're doing in all sorts of ways. You know, we're raising the minimum wage. We've provided free tuition for students. We're trying to work to make this province a fairer place for everybody. And this step on salary disclosure, that's another step towards that fair place that we know we can create. And so I would say to young women and young men. Look for the things that you're interested in, and if that leads you someday to a door that opens into a political career, you can make a difference.
And you're right, it goes with young men as well. You know, because let's look at nursing, for example. There is an occupation that until really recently, not a lot of men went towards nursing. It was always looked at as a female vocation.
Exactly.
But now, I mean, my daughter's a nurse, and the number of male nurses has increased exponentially.
My daughter's a nurse, too. She just started practicing this year, and same thing. I was surprised in her graduating class how many young men there were. You know, we need to provide opportunities for people to do the things that they're suited to and that they want to do. And gender shouldn't get in the way of that.
All right, one step forward. So, you know what? Agree, disagree. Go see the Premier tonight.
We'd love to see you.
At the Design Exchange. 5:30 you can be there. I think the doors open around 5:30.
Doors open at 5:30. The show starts at 6:30.
Show? Okay, good. The Premier will be juggling today at 6:30.
Right. Dancing, singing.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Kevin.